All right, I'm Dr. Hollenmeyer, and I'm here with Debbie Campbell. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist with a degree in neuroscience. Thanks for joining us, Debbie.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, Debbie is the co-founder of CURIS Functional Health, which is a series of holistic, multidisciplinary wellness clinics, and they have chiropractors, therapists, and dietitians that they collaborate with toward optimal well-being. It's actually quite a brilliant combination. I love it. And Debbie has worked extensively with elite domain performance, so think sports, arts, and business, as well as perfectionism due to her unique background in applied sports psychology and positive psychology. I can't wait to chat with you right now. Okay, I got to get through your bio though. She also enjoys helping couples achieve deep connection and safety in their relationships, as she is the only level 3 PACT, which is psychobiological approach to couples therapy, clinician in the Metroplex, and one of about 50 in the United States. All right, Debbie, thanks for joining me today. Man, we just unpacked a whole lot of details about you. So if you can kind of fill in the gaps and give us a general overall view of who you are and what you do for people on a daily basis.
Sure. So I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I have a degree in animal physiology, neuroscience, and biopsychology, and then my master's in clinical. So back in the day, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I think about people like on many different levels, not just, mental health. And so I came up with this concept about how to heal people using their nervous system and using the body's natural resources to help them achieve their outcomes. And I've been really fortunate in the past couple of years to start building CURIS, where we're able to watch that happen on a daily basis.
Yes. It is incredible. And even in my practice, before I got out of private practice, we did a lot of functional medicine. So we did a lot with nutrition and chiropractic, which is the nervous system that you speak of. But we didn't have the therapist component, and that was missing. And that's pretty much the umbrella of everything that you guys offer. And I think it is just the best thing ever. So let's really dial in on what's going on in the world today and what you're seeing and how we can help our listeners out there. So what are some of the top concerns or conditions that you're seeing in your office right now due to the mass hysteria we have going on in the world today?
Well, I'm seeing a lot of anxiety,
Yes.
and overwhelm. I'm also seeing a fair amount of boredom, depression. Trauma would be another good one. I mean, like a lot of students have had their whole life ripped from them. If you're a senior right now in high school or college or even an 8th grader, this is a really tough time. And then the isolation piece of things, people are lonely, really lonely.
Yes.
And then it may also be like a cusper for divorce. Not just babies, but divorce, like when married couples have to stay home together and they're not sure where they're at, but it could also lead to a better marriage. So we'll see.
That's true. That's true. So how are you helping them? Let's just tackle, because that's a lot in that one statement, right? How can we help our viewers manage and kind of tackle the stress and anxiety component?
So when it comes to stress and anxiety, usually that's a future thinking kind of event, right? You're getting a little too far ahead of yourself, or maybe you're out of your scope, right? I'm trying to control something that actually is not in my control. It usually involves a fair amount of control. And so I love using meditation, physical activity, music, breathing exercises, contextualizing, appropriate focus would all be things that I love to use in that event. So do you want me to go into some of those?
Yeah, if you can. And will this also include like the doomsday feeling of overwhelm? Is this included in that, or is that a little bit more in depth?
Sure. Well, the doomsday feeling of overwhelm is you're dealing with something that's more like affect regulation, right? Which is your ability to calm yourself down or work yourself up, right? At the moment you're feeling kind of doomsday about this, you know that your amygdala is like really overactive. So you're like on heightened stress, fight, flight, freeze, frenzy. And so, there are things that you can do in that state that kind of help take that down. So if you're feeling doomsday, I would say like, there's a reason why people who are feeling doomsday like get in the bed and cover themselves with covers, right?
Mm-hmm.
The pressure, body warmth, a warm blanket, a weighted blanket. These are all great things, actually, if you're feeling doomsday-ish. It's not going to stop the thinking piece of it, but it does induce some oxytocin in your brain, that then allows you to kind of turn your amygdala down or off, just as a starting point.
That is a good starting point. So let's get into some of the, are they called therapies or just stress management type of things for anxiety and stress?
It could be both techniques and modalities. So, I mean, the first one would be appropriate focus, right? In sports psychology, we talk a lot about appropriate focus. Like, I can't control whether I win the Olympics, but I can control whether I go to practice today or not. I can't control my attitude in practice. I can control my effort. I can't control whether I get injured or not, but I can take steps that prevent me from getting injured.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to the situation we're in, it's really tough to be indoors. That's not really under our control per se, right? But how can I make the best of it? What can I do while I'm here? There are a lot of amazing online resources. Oh my gosh. So that would be one, appropriate focus. Another option would be meditation. There are a ton of amazing apps for meditation out there. And we know that meditation and breathing really, really helpful for calming the brain using the vagus nerve.
Yes.
My favorite type of breathing is 4-4 breathing. So it's inhale for 4 seconds, pause, exhale for 4 seconds, pause. It's what the Navy SEALs use. It's a pretty stellar technique.
Yes.
And that's not just one breath. That's, rinse and repeat practice.
Okay.
Some other things that are good might be music. A lot of people actually respond really well to listening to music. Our brainwaves tune up with the rhythm of the music. And so we can change our emotional state pretty rapidly there. If you're the sort of person who's anxious, I think distraction actually works great.
That could be good. Yes. Kind of having a project to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Having a project, learning a language. There are a lot of museums that are online right now, or I think they said the New York Public Library put their books online. Like, go read a book, go watch your Netflix, do something that's distracting. Don't live in distraction, but distraction's fine for kind of getting you out of the anxiety and then you refocus.
Sure. I have a question about the music. Is there a certain type of music? Like, do we all need to go listen to Mozart, or is there a certain type of music that we're trying to get on a certain wavelength with?
Well, I mean, I think like classical music is great, but what I'll say is like, I've never had a client come in and say like, oh, that didn't work for me calming down. Like, I'd say, listen to what you feel like listening to. Because oftentimes, sad people, you think you'd want to put them listening to happy music, and they listen to sad music and they feel better. That's attunement, right?
Mm-hmm.
I tend to my feeling, I deal with it right away. It matches how I'm feeling, and then I'm released from it.
Yeah. Yeah. I like what you said as far as distinguishing between what you can control and what you cannot control.
Mm-hmm.
Let's write those things down and just focus on those things, right?
Right. Well, I mean, that's the first step. I mean, if you have goals, but they're not realistic or attainable, then you've got, you're going to lose from the start. There's no way to win in that equation. So sports psychology, we're always looking at goals.
Very true. What about financial anxiety that people are going through right now? Because now there's kind of like there's future fear of possibly losing your job, or some people did. Yeah, and even in the stock market too, people lost a lot of money there too. And how do people cope and deal with and handle those kind of things?
So, most people have some safety issues around money, right? I mean, and you'd be surprised, some of the people who are having like financial fears aren't really in a position to be hurting anytime in the near future. So what I'd say is, it's a great opportunity to examine that kind of primal relationship that you have with money as a source of safety. And then to be very realistic, I'd like to think that our government is going to try to help us and not wreck the economy, and that, that we're already starting to see some things come out realistically that, like our government won't let us fail. They'll try to do things to be accommodating. And so while it may be very, very uncomfortable, currently, it's a great time to learn some more like, tolerance for discomfort and distress, self-talk about like, making yourself feel better. This is uncomfortable, but we are going to get through it. I don't like this, but I can certainly do it. I'm unhappy with how things are right now, but it's not, I'm gonna have to give it time. Like, I'm not in control of the timing. I need to give it some more time to see how things are going to flesh out, in the aftermath. So, self-talk matters a lot.
Yeah.
Go
And
ahead.
with a lot of these things, from the anxiety to the stress and the fear, we've talked a lot about like what things might be, but how much of this is actually related to our past?
Tons.
All right.
Tons. Yeah, like all of it. Like, that's like a trick question if you're a therapist. It's all of it.
I'm not trying to trick you. I'm trying to think and kind of dig into the folks that we're talking to a little bit, because they might not have ever even considered that connection. And sometimes bridging that gap can be helpful. You're the expert, not me.
Yeah. So what I'll say about the past is that like, this situation has been very interesting because it's brought up a lot of people's pasts. Maybe they don't realize it, but the way that they're reacting to this in many ways has to do with how their family has reacted to the things they've been through in their life, including things like denial. Like, if the family, managed conflict, crisis, dilemmas in denial, or being dismissive, then that's also what we're seeing. Like, it's not a big deal. We don't have to stay inside. This is not something we have to worry about. But at the same time, like, we also have people who, are very, very stressed that this could lead to a lot of scarcity. And if they grew up in scarcity, then that's, really traumatizing to think about returning to. And people have a lot of their identity wrapped up in their lives.
Yeah.
Not who they are, but in their lives.
Interesting. Expand on that a little bit more.
So, like, I feel good about myself because of who I am inside, right? Like, my value systems, my principles, it's not the house I live in. It's not the car that I drive. It's not my title at work. Like, all of those things will perish. It's not my attractiveness. All that stuff is going to perish one day, or could perish at a moment's notice. I feel good about myself because of who I am inside. I'm born worthy, and, like, I'm a good person. I contribute to society. I treat people how I want to be treated. I apologize quickly, things like that.
Yeah. So, and then that brings me also to all the extroverts that are sitting at home. What do they do? How can they cope?
They're having a tough time.
Yes.
It's tough to be an extrovert in these times. So what I'll say is, like, thank goodness for technology. Like, we have things like FaceTime and, the phone and the internet. But, also I think at CURIS, we're going to be offering some groups to, for teenagers. I know the teenagers are struggling, not being able to see their friends. A lot of my extroverted clients are really struggling because they, just feel so isolated and lonely. It's hard for them, especially like my high performance clients who are used to being out, and doing a lot of things and traveling. Like, it's just turned their life upside down. And so, this is a great opportunity to kind of ground back into the basics and reacquaint with yourself, to learn more about how you roll in scenarios like this and what works for you, what doesn't work for you. It's been interesting.
It sure has. And with CURIS Functional Health, what resources, you alluded to groups for the high school kids, but what resources are y'all starting to offer based on this scenario for people to kind of reach out to you and to CURIS and to the whole healthcare team? Like, how can they be involved with CURIS? What are resources y'all offering?
That's a great question. So right now we're doing telemental health, and we also have nutrition consults that happen online as well. Chiropractic's hard to do, not in person. We're going to be offering some groups, I think, for teenagers, for couples, probably for extroverts, and for a variety of other issues, anxiety, depression. And so that's something we started working on today. So I expect it up in the next couple of days as we find people who want to run those groups. And then obviously telemental health, we have individual sessions for couples, families, children's, behavioral health experts to work with parenting. It's really tough to be at home, like, teaching your children right now. I'm seeing a lot of parents I know having really tough times with that. So, we have resources to help with that as well.
Kids are a whole nother topic that a lot of people want to know more about. So I want to start wrapping this up, but I'm gonna have to just ask you a question that's just gonna kind of open up a can of worms as far as, how do people talk to their kids about what's going on in the world today? A lot of parents have asked about, like, how do we do that without, like, putting fear in them, without scarring them, without putting scarcity on them,
Here's the thing. Your attitude towards it is going to dictate their attitude towards it. So if you're talking to your kid and you're freaked out, they're going to be freaked out. But if you're saying, hey, here's our situation, we're just going to take it day by day and see how it goes. It is a big change. Have compassion for all of the change that's going on, their feelings, etc. We're just going to take it day by day. I would not go into, depending on the age of the kid, the things that could happen, because we're not there yet. Yeah. There's no need to frighten the kid. And the answer, are we going to be all right, is always, yes, we're going to be all right. It's going to be okay. Like, it may look different. It may feel different. We have to change some things, but we're still a family and we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this together. Whatever messaging you toe and your comfort with that message, that's going to become their comfort, as long as they don't see you doing the opposite. Like, yeah. If you're saying one thing and doing another, they're going to be confused.
Very true. Now, I know there's some people listening saying, I want to know more. I at least need to talk to her about something specific. How can people get a hold of you?
The best way to find me would be to reach me by email. It's dcampbell, CAMPBELL @gocuris.com.
Okay.
And if they want to call, they can. But it'll be our admin. It's 214-390-3259.
Awesome. And what's the website for CURIS?
www.gocuris.com.
Perfect. And I'll be sure to put all of those links and that contact information in the notes as well, so people can reach you very easily. Awesome. Now, the resources that you have given us and the techniques that and modalities that you have given us, you're going to offer a free copy of that, right?
Absolutely.
You'll release some of those tips, but also 5 things you can do now to help with anxiety and fear. So click on the link below if you want that PDF. It'll get emailed to you in your email, in your inbox, and then we'll be sure to give you more resources on that. All right, Debbie. Well, thank you so much for all of your advice and your knowledge, and I am excited to have you on again.
Oh, thanks so much. See you soon.
Thanks. And for those listening in, if this message really reached you and you got some value from this, I want you to share this on your social media, share it with a friend, and stay safe out there and incorporate these techniques to help you manage your anxiety and fear. Stay safe, guys, and stay classy, folks.